Good morning. Let's uplift this world. Let's all work together to uplift each other. Well, I'm not leaving, so come with me.
Good afternoon, actually. I think it's around 1:30-ish, whatever it is. I am starting this series of videos that I'm going to call the Kundalini Diaries because I just want to share what my experience is, my ongoing experience with. I don't really want to label it as a Kundalini rising or a Kundalini awakening because I think that limits it and kind of gives preconceived notions as to like what is happening in my life right now. For the sake of ease, I'm calling it Kundalini Diaries. I want to share for the purpose of documenting my own life, for my own growth purposes, but also just to start a conversation, I guess, or just to be with other people who are having similar experiences. Maybe my experiences are like other people's experiences and they can, I don't really even know. I just feel compelled to share. So I am, and here I am. I kept a journal throughout this whole process so far that I ended this particular journal and I started another one, but this one ended on my birthday, 2/28/19, my 40th birthday. But it started a few months before that on December 5th, 2018. I just wanted to talk about before I started this journal and before I started this journey, really. One of the things that I do remember is being very young, maybe 9, and my aunt gave me a book about crystals, and I loved this book. And in the crystal book, there were meditations for each crystal, and I would do the meditations. And I loved the feeling of being in the meditative state. And I did this every day, different crystal meditations, just meditating on the specific stone. And then I got a different book that had meditations in it for different purposes. And for some reason, these just came to me, these books about meditation, and I really enjoyed the feeling of it. I wasn't doing it with any kind of intention, but I have been meditating for a long time now. But my meditations were, 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day, maybe even less than that. Still an interesting practice that really helped me to be sane, honestly. But before December 5th, I was super, super depressed and anxious and just feeling so low. I just felt like I couldn't get my shit together. It felt awful and I didn't really know what to do. I was talking with someone and I said, I feel like I want to go into a cave and just be in the darkness. And as I was driving home, I was thinking about this and wondering if it was part of the depression and how depressing it sounded that I wanted to go retreat into a cave. And a realization came over me, that's not depression. That's me wanting time and space to myself in solitude to heal. And it occurred to me that I wanted to meditate for long periods of time. I am in the wonderful position of being able to do that. Not everybody can, but I, right now in my life, am able to spend hours meditating. Who knows, that could change. I don't know. Who knows what life brings. But for right now, I have a lot of freedom, a lot of time. And I just delved in deeply. I just started meditating 9 hours a day, 8 to 9 hours a day. And the difference was almost immediate. I mean, within days of meditating this way, I felt more peaceful, calmer, happier, and the journey got deeper and deeper, which is what I'm going to be reading in my journal and really kind of reliving, I guess, in these vlogs. I have been practicing yoga since I was 14. I've always felt sort of this pull toward things metaphysical and spiritual, and it's always been a huge area of interest for me. I don't adhere to any kind of belief that like I'm more spiritual than anybody else. We're all spirit. So I'm not saying that I'm a spiritual person and other people aren't. I've been drawn to learning about new agey, metaphysical, spiritual things, just to things that are a little, not mundane, I guess. So that's my history, and that's where I'm coming from. And when I started to meditate every day, it was really a decision I made only to improve my depression. It's all I wanted to do at that point in my life in early December. I really felt like if I didn't get a handle on this depression, there was no point in living. It was a really difficult time, and I was completely and totally so desperate that I was willing to give up pretty much my whole life, which I did. I mean, spending 9-10 hours a day meditating, I was giving up time that could have been spent doing other things, and I was doing that and yoga and spending time with my kids and my fiance, and that was my whole life for a long, long time. Months, actually, it still really is. I spend hours meditating every day, but now it's for a different reason. I noticed pretty early on that I could feel parts of my body tightening. That's what I noticed in the very beginning, and I'll talk about it in my journal, so I'm not going to get too into detail here. But what started happening was this stretching and tightening feeling. And I was aware of what Kundalini was, but I was absolutely not intending to raise my Kundalini when I first started meditating. But these things started happening that I recognized from my study of Kundalini. I noticed that, oh, I know what this is. This is my chakras opening. This is a Kundalini movement right now. I could sense it. I just knew it. And for those of you out there, if anybody's listening at all, I really don't care if you are or not. That's the beauty of this. I'd like to hear about other experiences. I'd like to know what other people are going through. It hasn't been all easy. I feel like a lot of that is purging and cleansing the system, which is what I really think Kundalini is. I think that, and I could be totally wrong, I haven't done enough study to claim to really know anything, and I've studied for years and years. There's just so much information, and there are so many people who've been doing it for 50 years, meditating. Some people stay in caves and that's all they do their whole lives, so who the hell am I to even talk about this? Just someone who's experiencing some weird shit. And my impression of it is, my feeling as it's moving through me and what I've read that has confirmed this, it feels like a purification process. It feels like there are tight spots in me that are like knots, or little tight bundles of dense energy, and the Kundalini comes in and kind of like a laser beam shoots at it, or vibrates it really fast, actually would be an even better way of describing the feeling. It's like it shakes it up and it disperses and becomes energy that I can use for other things. And I am noticing that I can direct the energy. So if I focus on a certain area of my body, I'll feel the physical sensation of Kundalini energy. If you had told me this 6 months ago, I would have rolled my eyes. If you would have told me that the feeling of Kundalini is a physical sensation that can be moved to any part of your body using your attention, I would have said that I would have felt like it was a metaphor. Maybe not that you were crazy or bullshitting me, but I would have felt like you didn't actually mean that it was a physical sensation. But when I tell you it's as physical as me clenching my fist right now, that's how I can feel it. Like a physical sensation of this energy that actually feels like balls of energy, or really doesn't have a shape, but I can sense the energy moving, like blood kind of filling and engorging a space, sort of what it feels like. When I allow it to move through me, it just goes wherever it wants, and I can feel and sense that it's kind of untangling these knots. And I actually believe that I was given that depression and given those intense emotions that were so difficult because something in me wanted to be led to this path of deepening my meditation practice and seeing where it goes, where it's taking me. I don't know where the path is going to lead, but I do feel that intensity and wanting to be relieved of it, and finding meditation, finding a deepening practice of meditation, that was not an accident. That was all part of this process that has been happening since I was 9 years old and given the book. I believe that even though it seems that my journey began on December 5th, when I decided to meditate for 9 hours a day, 8 or 9 hours a day, that's pretty extreme. I realize now that I was preparing for this for almost my whole life. And I do believe that everyone out there is perfectly capable of having these kinds of experiences. It's not even capability, it's available for everyone. The energy is in you. We all have this Kundalini energy within us. We all have the prana, the life force, which is, it's all the same thing. It's this energy that runs through our body that is spirit, really. That's the way that I feel about it anyway. I don't know what it is. And even if I read about it for the rest of my life and I experience it for the rest of my life, I don't know if I'll ever get to a point of knowing exactly what it is, but I'm not sure if it matters. What matters to me is the beauty of this path and letting it blossom and seeing where it takes me. I'm just so open to it and hopefully sharing it with other people. That's my first Kundalini diary entry, and I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye, my friends. Goodbye.